All right, welcome everyone. It's good to see you all. And Kyle had just shared with us that he is now officially a homeowner. So we were just celebrating, and it's really good to hear good news out of everything else that has happened these past couple of years. And I think we're coming upon an anniversary into this pandemic. So it's just really good to hear, good things and good feelings in times that are coming ahead of us. Let's see here. I will officially start the City of Albuquerque Commission on American Indian and Alaska Native Affairs General Meeting, and I'd like to call it to order this Wednesday evening, February 9th, 2022. For the record, it is 5:06 p.m. Selma is going to be a little late, so could you just help me confirm attendance, Kyle? Okay. Just for the record, if everyone could just state they are present. If you can turn on your video, that'd be great for roll call, and then we'll establish quorum. So first, Dr. Lloyd Lee.
Present.
Thank you. Denise Zuni.
Here.
Thank you. Jimmy Secatero is absent. Lorenzo Jim, absent. Marissa Naranjo.
Good evening, everybody. I'm present.
Thank you. Kyle Tapaha.
Present.
Selma Antonio. Mark is absent. Kim Gleason.
Present.
Thank you, Kim. And Kim Benali.
Present.
And myself present. So I have 7 commission members present today and 3 absent. Is that what you have, Commissioner Tapaha?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so we've established quorum. Would anybody like to volunteer to provide our invocation this evening? Start us off.
I nominate Kyle. He has a lot to be thankful for.
Are you okay with that, Kyle?
I will go ahead.
Okay.
First, may we do a moment of silence for our relatives who are no longer able to speak, that aren't able to enjoy our successes. May we think about them. Thank you. So there we are, our meeting today, discussing important issues and topics that are very relevant to our relatives. We stand here as a commission as a way to lift voices, to bring our thoughts together. So we pray as a unit that we remain strong and we open our minds and stand together for our relatives. So on a personal note, I am very grateful to be a part of this commission, to be a part of leadership in Albuquerque. I am thankful for partnerships, thankful for our relationships, thankful for our ability to really just stand up for each other. As I cross into this new venture, being a new resident and actual homeowner, I bear responsibility to our community to be one of the voices. So I am truly humbled by this opportunity. I thank the Creator for everything that he's bestowed upon me, and I don't take it lightly. Just thank you for everything, and I will try my hardest to be a good leader for our people, of all nations, as we tackle these issues that are in front of us. So we pray that our city officials, our leaders, our constituents, our relatives bring issues to us so we can try to better our community. So I pray for each one of our commission members that they, remain strong, that we are thankful for this opportunity. So thank you, Creator. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Tapaha. We'll move on to our next item to approve the meeting agenda for this evening, and wanted to just open it up to ask if there were any other agenda items that any commission members would like to add to at this time before we begin and approve. It seems to be a relatively short agenda for this evening. And yeah, so I'm going to just screen share it in case you haven't had a chance to look at it. Just give everybody just a minute.
I have maybe an agenda item, but it might also be covered under the City of Albuquerque updates. And that's the question of the posting of our agenda.
Okay.
I'm okay if it's addressed there under the updates, but if it won't be, then I want to add it as an item.
Do you want to set time aside to discuss it or vote on something? Or do you just have a question?
I have a question, and depending on, maybe I just looked at the website wrong. So, if I looked at it wrong, no, it's just a question. But if I looked at it right, then I want to discuss our that web page.
Okay, maybe we put it as a discussion item under 5.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me see here. Don't know why my share is not working. Here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna put it under
Maybe D?
I'm gonna put, yeah, I'll put it under D, or it'll be D now.
And let's just call it OIE webpage.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other agenda items before we begin? All right. Gonna scroll down here. And the next meeting date is Wednesday, March 9th, 2022, 5 to 7:30 p.m. And that's my birthday.
That's my birthday too.
No way. Do you make it a birthday or do you make it a birth month? Because I make it a birthday month. So I have cake all month.
Nice. Yay, Pisces.
Yes, that's awesome. All right, let's see here. Okay, if there are no other items, we'll move to a vote for the agenda for February 9th, 2022 with the updated agenda item of 4D OI. Wait, is it the commission's website? Denise, you're asking about? Oh, you're on mute. We can't hear you, Denise. You're on mute.
Sorry. Our commission's webpage is under OIE, right? Yes, it is. Right, Terry?
Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll motion to approve.
Thank you, Denise. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Marissa. Can I get a vote from everyone in the chat, or you can verbalize it if you like for the record? Okay. I have a yes from Denise, a yes from Kim, from Dr. A yes from Dr. Lee, a yes from Kim Benally, and wanted to note that Selma has voted yes, but I don't see her on here. Let me pause real quick. Don, can you check on Selma's access to the meeting? I think she might be on as a, not as a panelist, but like an attendee. See if we can
Selma,
get
you
her in
should
here.
be able to, there you go.
Okay. All right. So I have a yes from Denise, a yes from Kim Gleason, a yes from Dr. Lee, a yes from Kim Benally, a yes from Salma, Antonio, a yes from Marissa Naranjo, a yes from Kyle Tapaha, and a yes from me. So that let's see here. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 commission members on tonight, and that is 8 votes to approve the meeting agenda for this evening. Thank you, everyone. The next item for tonight is the approval of the January 19th, 2022 minutes. And I'll just give everybody a chance to glance at them if they haven't had one. Does anyone need to see them right now? Just let me know and I can share my screen.
Is that the January, you said January 19th, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Does anyone need more time? No? All right, Dr. Lee motions to approve the January 19th meeting minutes. Do I have a second? Oh. Kyle Tapaha, are you seconding? the
I
motion?
second. I second.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a vote from everyone in the chat? Or you can verbalize it. All right, I have an abstain from Kim Benali, an abstain from Denise Zuni. I have a vote of yes from Dr. Lee and a yes from Thelma Antonio, a yes from Kyle, a yes from Marissa Naranjo, and that is a yes from me as well, I think. Okay. So let me tally this up real quick. So that is 5 yeses and 2 abstains. Wait. Who am I missing?
You're right, we only have 8.
I think I missed Kim
Oh, yeah.
Gleason's vote. I have a yes from Kim Gleason. Sorry, I missed it right after Dr. Lee's vote. Okay, so I have 6 yeses and 2 abstained. The meeting minutes for January 19th, 2022 are approved. Thank you, everyone. So new business, we don't have a guest presenter this evening. We were hoping to, but it didn't work out. So we're gonna aim for February. We were gonna try to see if the First Nations Health Source, Community Health Source can provide us an update and a presentation. I think, I don't know if some of you remember, that was one of the first places we visited when we were all beginning about 2 years ago. So it'd be really interesting to see kind of where they're at since the pandemic, and also if there's any updates or things that we should have on our radar. So we'll continue to work with them and see if we can get them on a future agenda. Again, if you have any other suggestions or ideas for who we can invite to the commission meetings to present, just let myself, Thelma, or Kyle know. And just, you can either personally invite them yourselves, as long as there's the agenda hasn't been finalized. And you can just CC us on it, or you can provide us the contact, and then Thelma, myself, or Kyle can reach out to them too. So we're happy to help facilitate those connections. So again, the presentation list or presenter list is on the Google Docs Drive or folder that we have. If you're having trouble seeing it, just let us know. I can resend the link to you all. And that is just a tentative list of presenters, organizations, programs, or individuals that you would like for us to have time to learn more about during a commission meeting. So it's not set in stone. It's just so that we can kind of have a plan in place to look for those individuals or organizations month to month. So I see your comment, Denise. Let's invite the folks within the city that are working on housing the homeless. Like to hear more about the Gateway Center. Sounds good. And yes, we can also invite like any city programs or city staff that are working on projects to come present. We've had, for example, like Parks and Rec provide more lengthy presentation on, the 4-H parks and cemetery burial site. So if you're interested, Don and Terry have been really helpful in helping to make those connections and try to get this stuff on the agenda. So just a reminder that that document's there, and yeah, Thelma and Kyle were happy to help. I did not receive any public comments just wanted to check in with you, Terry. Did you receive any public comments for tonight's meeting?
Madam Chair, I did not receive any public comments.
Thank you. And just as a reminder, at the end of each of our agendas, if you ever come across anyone, any community members that are interested in providing either a verbal or a written comment, they can submit that. And all of those submissions, I believe, go directly to Terry. So between Terry and I, we collect them for the meeting. So we've had a few, I think. That's actually people have written in or emailed us, but if you all receive any public comments yourselves, then just direct them to Terry and then we'll coordinate to make sure that there's time. But there will always be a public comment section or time available on each of the commission meeting agendas, just in case, because like the one that we had, we got it that day of, or it was like a couple hours before. So we'll definitely take them, if they come to us kind of immediately. So the next item, or is there any questions so far with the guest presenters or the public comments? Okay. And that's open to anybody, so it doesn't have to be even, I believe, native resident of Albuquerque. Those public comments are really for the public to provide their comment to us or questions even. All right, if there's no questions, we'll keep moving on. Number 4C on our agenda is discussion and approval of new action items. And the one item that we have is considered a vote on commission candidate recommendations presented by the Recruitment and Outreach Subcommittee. So right now that includes myself, Dr. Lee, Kyle Tapaha, and Kim Gleason. And so that subcommittee receives the commission application for any of the vacant seats. And we were able to do that within the past week or so. We received 2 applicants, and we do have a recommendation of who we would like to submit appointments for to fulfill the vacant role of workforce and employment sector. So I'm going to bring up the information. I'm not going to share the information on the screen, but I wanted to just read a little description of what they included in their application. But Dr. Lee, Kyle, Kim, do you have anything else you wanted to share in regards to that? Okay. Okay. Well, if there are no other comments, the individual that we are recommending and we'll be submitting for filling the workforce and employment slot is Raven Begay. She works currently right now with National Indian Youth Council. Drew a blank. And she comes with over 11 years of experience and knowledge to meet the organization's mission and goals, and has worked with as a grantee of the Department of Labor and is part of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. And she has some extensive knowledge around workforce and employment. So that is the individual that we are recommending. And if we want to move to a vote, we can, unless anyone else has any questions regarding both of the applicants. Like I said, there was two. The subcommittee members, we can answer those questions for the rest of the commission if needed.
Madam Chair, if I may, so there was two applicants. We had Vanessa Bowen and yes, Vanessa Bowen and Raven Begay. And I just wanted to say that in reviewing her application, she does seem to be a strong representative of the Indigenous community, and she works really close with National Indian Youth Council, which is also a great asset because of their involvement with the city, with bringing students into intern positions, which I think would strengthen the relationship between Albuquerque and the Indigenous community, giving students some experience into what it takes to be a city employee. So I think that she is a strong candidate.
Thank you, Kyle.
I have a question. So,
Go ahead, Denise.
can you tell us a little about the other applicant?
Sure. So Miss Vanessa Bowen, she was, I just lost my screen. Hold on. Sorry. I don't wanna get it wrong. Okay, here we go. It appeared to us that Miss Vanessa Bowen was looks like a independent or self-employed entrepreneur. Her skills were mainly in like media development, graphic design. It looks like she also indicates like data analysis, design systems, and marketing. And so she is also a, looks like she has her own company. And trying to see here, her experience has been with some boards, especially in the art field, community arts, and also as a AIGA New Mexico communications director. And I'm not sure what the acronym stands for. Maybe someone else knows the acronym for that, but and has been a board member of the Albuquerque Arts Hub as well. So it's a little bit about her.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I think what was interesting too was this led to a discussion about how we can further expand the experience of the commission and how perhaps we need to develop the sectors into more representation other than what they are right now. Because I think all of us that have been appointed in a sector have kind of struggled with like, what does that mean? What does that all include? What does it not include? And how can we change that so that we are including more perspectives and voices into the conversation? Because it really would be great to have somebody that does represent that aspect of our community here, that has experience with business or having their own business or business owners. And so I think Dr. Lee had brought up the point that it would be good to have a representative, not just with workforce and employment, but even the small business sector, or thinking about how we can include that, going forward. So, it kind of made us think a little bit of how we could frame that, from other boards and commissions that might appoint community members based on their experience. Like you would have a representative that would have, you would want to see applicants that represent experience like with higher education, or maybe they have experience with small businesses. Some, like for me, when I think of health, I'm thinking like mental health, and I'm thinking early childhood. And those are, specific fields of expertise. And so, would it make more sense to base our applications and our roles based off of that? I know Jim Gleason has brought up many times before, like we need somebody who has, different perspectives on, the art community. And also, all the things that are under that as well. So right now, the way that it's set up with the sectors, we're a little bit limited, I think. But that's just my opinion. So something to think about. And I think definitely it would make more sense to kind of move in that direction eventually. And we would definitely have more people involved, especially in when we have discussions or when issues are brought up. Any other thoughts, questions before we move to a vote? All right. Can I get a motion to recommend Ms. Raven Begay for the sector on workforce and employment? Kyle, are
Madam
you
Chair,
motioning?
I move to recommend Raven Begay to the workforce and employment sector.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Kim Gleason put it in the chat that she seconds the motion. Thank you, Kim Gleason. And can I get a vote from everyone in the chat, or you can verbalize it? Thank you. I have a vote of yes from Denise Zuni, a yes from Marissa Naranjo, a yes from Kyle Papaha. I have a yes from Dr. Lee, and a yes from Salma Antonio, and that is a yes from me. And who am I missing? Kim Gleason, but I take your motion as a vote of yes. So we have 8 yeses. The motion passes. And what we'll do after this is we will submit that we agreed unanimously on the candidate, and that is sent to Terry and Helen Maestas, and then they make contact with the candidate and let them know kind of next steps. So we should be seeing her join us either next month for the commission meeting or the one after. So it usually I've seen them, the process happen pretty quickly. So we'll have a new commission member join us. And I'll just make a note here to try and introduce her to everyone since we're not meeting in person. So you can get to know her maybe a little bit before the meeting starts. All right, thank you, everyone. Okay. Our next item is 5A, City of Albuquerque updates with Don Begay and Terry Salone. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Terry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't know if Don, were you going to provide us an update?
I do have a couple updates, and I'll be brief, and then I'll turn it over to you, Terry. And so, Madam Chair, I just wanted to give an update in terms of some changes that have happened in the mayor's office. Helen Maestas is now the Director of Public Affairs, and Daniel Manzano is now the Deputy Director of Public Affairs and will be overseeing city boards and commissions. So any Deputy Director Manzano will be the point of contact for any commission updates, feedback, or questions. So I will provide the commission his contact information, and we will submit the nomination to him, and then Terry and I will follow up with the mayor's office. The second update I have is the city of Albuquerque is celebrating Black History Month for the month of February. And one of the first items is that the City of Albuquerque's Office of African American Affairs have officially changed their name to the Office of Black Community Engagement. And they are under OEI, the Office of Equity and Inclusion. And the Office of Black Community Engagement's webpage has a list of Black History Month events and programming that are excellent ways to get involved. And one of the co-events initiatives that we're partnering with is the 90-day nonviolence pledge that is happening from February through April. And I do encourage all commission members to take a look at the pledge and sign up for the pledge, and then also look at opportunities to volunteer and then get other community partners to participate in this as well. So I will include the links to the new office name change and then the events in the chat. The third update I have is the Metropolitan Redevelopment Agency have released a rail trail framework plan, and they are currently looking for public comment. And what this is a proposal to have a trail from the rail yards all the way to Mountain, where it really highlights local artists, and they do art installations and different projects, and they create a walkway that will include for both walking and pedestrian activities. And they will eventually do a 7-mile loop that will connect the rail trail to the Sawmill District, to Old Town, to go along the Bosque and connect to the Hispanic Cultural Center, and then come back around. So this is one of the major updates that they're looking for. And they did meet with a couple of the Indigenous agencies, including the New Public Cultural Center, UNM, Design and Planning Institute, and other couple local artists and consulting agencies. And one of the big pieces of feedback was to include the Indian Public Cultural Center as part of the rail trail loop, because it's currently not in there right now. And to expand contracting beyond just looking for Native artists, but also to look at the RFPs and contracting, so that there's ways to insert local, where we contract with local providers, but then also companies of color, women-owned, to really be reflective of the culture that is here, and then to also take into consideration historical land pieces, or to insert educational opportunities like what effect the rail yard system had on Indigenous communities here in Albuquerque, and also other parts of the history that, like the Two Towers, Centennial Meads, and maybe even to include pieces of history, if they do include in cultural center, to also include the history of boarding school, as the Albuquerque Indian School and 4-H Park will be near the proposed redesign process. So I will also include the link for this, as they are taking public comment and are in the process of actually making changes to the design. And the last update I have will be for the Gateway Center. And so Commission Member Zuni, I can reach out to Christina Petrohan. She's the Gateway Systems Analyst within the Family and Community Services Department. I can request that she provide updates on the Gateway Center, and then also to discuss possible collaboration opportunities with the Commission. And so we've been looking at some data and revisited some data that I submitted to Family and Community that mentions that Native Americans are overrepresented among the homeless population, unsheltered homeless population, and that point in time count has demonstrated that there's a gap between the unsheltered Native American population and accessing city emergency sheltering services. And so one of the recommendations was to do a gap analysis to determine exactly why Native Americans that are experiencing homelessness are not accessing city services, and to include it as a part of the planning and design for the Gateway Center, and also to look at how we can define what culturally appropriate services are. And so this is what we're examining to see if we can identify any funding or resources in the community that can help us address these two points. We may be contacting the commission before the next commission meeting, but I definitely would see if urge her to do a presentation at the March meeting. So those are the major updates that I have so far, and I will go ahead and turn it over to you, Terry.
Thank you, Don. Madam Chair, just to quickly give you an update on the 4-H Park. I did not make today's meeting, unfortunately, because I was involved in state legislation meetings and trying to stop Holtec and the hydrogen hub, and also get us our rights to human rights or Bill of Rights to clean air, land, and water. But we are going to be looking at having a tribal consultation in March. And then between that time, I'll be working to try to contact the tribes that we have not met with yet or have heard from, which includes the Apache tribes, the Mescalero and the Hickory Apache tribes here in New Mexico. Trying to connect with the Pima tribe in Arizona. And then, of course, hearing more closely from Zuni and the Hopi tribe. So those will be outreaches I'll be attempting to work on between now and our next tribal consultation meeting. And then we will be having our strategic planning sessions tentatively in early to mid-March. This one we'll be planning those next strategic planning sessions. We are taking time now to complete a more thorough strategic plan on the strategy sessions themselves. And then we're beginning to take account and reassess and the tribal recommendations on what they feel we should do. So that in that process, we'll be identifying individuals and then also the tribal representatives that will be participating with us in the strategic planning team. And we'll be sending out those invitations to those groups before we begin those strategic sessions. Then I also just received this afternoon an email from Helen Maestas on example bylaws for the commission. So if you all take a look in your emails, you'll see it. I just sent that tonight earlier. And that's really it on my end, other than what Don said. Thank you. And then I'm going to be stepping out because I need to check to see if another community meeting is starting now, as I'm scheduled to make a statement to try to stop the Hydrogen Hub Act. Thank you.
And Madam Chair, before I continue, just one update. Terry, for at the meeting, we decided we will not be setting a date for the strategic planning sessions until we've had a chance to complete the tribal consultation. And the main piece of the tribal consultation is the results from the GPR survey that was completed. And so it has a lot of sensitive information. So we're making sure that we get the tribes are able to review and approve and give us guidance and recommendations on what data may be released or what is appropriate to be released to the public and considerations for planning process going forward. And so we're halting setting a date for those community strategic planning sessions until we have more information from the tribes. But yeah, we are projected to look at a March tribal consultation meeting after, Terry and the team have had more chance to really engage in the follow-up on the one-on-one tribal meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Madam Chair, also my goal too is also to reconnect with the tribes again to get their input on what they feel what we can or shouldn't provide as a public disclosure on the GPR results survey. So that'll also be part of my discussions with the tribes. Thank you.
Thank you, Don and Terry. Does anyone have any questions?
Madam Chair, this is Lloyd Lee. This is not a question, but Terry, can you resend those bylaws? I tried to download it and there's something wrong on that first page. It comes up pretty empty. It's an empty page. I don't know if it's my end on the PDF or not, but I'm not able to see that first page.
Okay, I'll resend them. I did take a look and it is kind of awkward how she sent it. So what I was going to try to do too was I was going to try to convert it, if the conversion is possible, into a Word document. That way you guys can have it editable at that point, but I'll resend it. I'll try my TS at Sloan Company email to try to send it again.
Okay. And then a question to Don. Since the Office of African American Affairs changed its name to Black Community Engagement, is there discussion about the Native American Affairs office name?
There has not been any discussion on changing the other office names, but this definitely could be up for discussion or a recommendation that I would will leave to the commission to see if we need to do a name change. Part of the website, I'm getting the links together now, was they put the name change up to a community survey to see if this is something they wanted, and they indicated they did. And then so the other piece of it was to what the possible name change would be. So we haven't discussed it, but it is something we're open to for discussion. Okay.
I think it would be interesting to have a discussion about it because I don't know. Seems like in the US, we're so accustomed to using the word affairs when it comes to Native people. So I'm just wondering about that. But yeah, I think it'd be great to have a discussion about
it. And just to clarify, Commissioner Lee, you're talking about the commission's name, right? Not the department, the city's department name, right?
Actually, actually both actually would be good.
Oh, okay. No, great.
But yeah, the Office of Native American Affairs and then the commission. And I know that when we were when I was on the earlier commission, we talked about the name and we went back and forth in a lot of different places, but we settled on this. So
Dr. Lee, that would be interesting if we could get like a note or what you guys discussed. It might become relevant now. So it'd be interesting to see what you guys were talking, what kind of suggestions they were.
Well, one of them was definitely about using the term indigenous rather than Native American. And so that was discussed. And we also talked about American Indian, Alaskan Native, and that was the federal designation. And so we decided to go with that. But we didn't really have a discussion about affairs. Now I'm thinking back on it, we should have, just to have that discussion, just to see if what we would have come up with.
I'm very partial to Indigenous.
Do we want to put that as a discussion item on the next meeting's agenda?
I think we should. Yeah, it's just something that we could engage ourselves in, and really talk about what it means to the African American community as well, to see what correlations, or to just the name like that in itself is very powerful too. Is their community taking ownership of their community? So this could be a way we could do that as well.
Would it be useful to maybe invite somebody from the Black community engagement, a person that might be able to share their experience with going about the process, maybe give us a little insight, because we're thinking about it. They might have some ways of advice or guidance on that.
I'm for first holding a discussion among ourselves. And just because I already know we're going to have a lot of discussion.
How do others feel about that?
Yeah, a good discussion should start. We should start there and then keep that on the back burner as well. To see where other people are coming from and what their thoughts on that name change is.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting, and the only reason why I bring up inviting somebody that has actually gone through that process is we can ask to what are the things that we could consider before even going in that direction. We can have them present first, and then we could have a discussion afterwards. But it would be great, because then you could kind of think about, okay, these are some considerations, these are things that maybe they've had with doing a survey, or what was the benefit of doing a survey rather than a public comment or something like that. Just a thought, but I will put the topic on the agenda, and then if anyone feels really strongly about inviting other people to just give their experience, let me know. You can do that.
And Madam Chair, I think there's going to be a report, an official report about the name change, including data from the survey. So this might, once that's out, I can send that, and a lot of those questions might be answered in that report. But after it's released, then we can see if we can have their coordinator do a presentation.
Any other thoughts or questions for Don and Terry? I just want to recognize Commissioner Lorenzo Jim. Thank you for joining.
Yes, hello, it's good to be here. Sorry I
to
was
make
late.
it.
Yeah, I was on a call with the court's administrative office of the courts. We got awarded a grant, a pilot program, really focusing on Native women. They entered the judicial system and cultivating ideas around a drop-off center to wraparound services and just, yeah, so my heart was here with you all though. Good to see you all. Beautiful faces too.
Thank you, Lorenzo. As long as you owe us mutton stew down the road, we're okay.
I got Zoom mutton for you right here. It's our Zoom donuts.
We can just watch you eat it and we'll be okay. All right.
And don't forget
Any
the dry
other?
bread.
Oh, how did you do that? You put a sheep in the comments. I'm gonna have to ask you, Dawn, how did you?
Now I'm hungry.
All right, well, if there are no other questions or thoughts for Dawn and Terry, thank you very much. We appreciate your work and thank you for the updates and keeping us informed and included. And just let us know what we can do as well. And I'll look out for your email, Dawn, to submit the nomination.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, everyone. Great job.
All right, the next item is 5B. These are commission sector reports and updates, and really, you know, just anyone, if you have a update you would like to share, just gonna open it up for anyone that would like to do that. Also, if any of the subcommittees have an update, we can also include that here as well.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Dr. Lee Lloyd. The Institute for American Indian Education at UNM just released its call for proposals for their Indigenous Education Research Conference that's going to be virtual this year. And the conference theme is defending Indigenous educational sovereignty, putting education back in the hands of the community people. It's going to be a 2-day conference at the end of April, April 28th and 29th, from 9 a.m. to 2 o'clock. And so there is, here's the flyer that just went out. You can go to their website for some guidelines and submission information. But that's going to be coming up in a couple months. And then the only other announcement is I still have not heard from APS, Indian Education, what they're planning to do with their directorship, because right now they still have an interim director, and that's Scott Fusion. Wait, did I get that right? Maybe I'm thinking of someone else.
Hey, Phil Farson.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, Phil.
Phil.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting kind of confused. Got too many meetings. Phil, yeah, he's still the interim, and I haven't heard whether or not they are going to advertise for the director, because back last year in the fall, right before the school year started in August, they were going to interview the final candidates, the ones that in terms of the when Daisy Thompson retired, And so they were going to interview in early August, and then the situation with Representative Stapleton came up. And so I think everything is sort of put on hold. So I haven't heard anything yet. I'm just worried that this is going to continue into next year. And this is something that maybe the commission may want to talk about, because it took about 2 years, almost 2 years, to get an assistant secretary of Indian Education for the state of New Mexico, right? Lashana So was finally selected in October of 2020. And Governor Lujan Grisham came into office in January of 2019. So I know that the tribes and the leadership kept asking about that. Why isn't there an assistant secretary of Indian Education? And finally they selected Lashana So. So I'm kind of worried that APS is sort of thinking that they're going to drag it out further. I don't know, maybe it's because the Stapleton situation has put everything on hold, but yeah, Phil is still the interim. So those are just a couple announcements.
Who would be the person that we would contact for, like I don't know, what would you call it? Concern?
Well, I would contact Phil, but I would also contact the superintendent as well. Mr. Elder?
Okay. Could that be a discussion item for next month if we want to discuss whether to maybe draft a letter?
Yeah.
Attacking letter?
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Okay.
Oh, and one more other announcement with education. PBS starting next week on Tuesday night on their Facebook and YouTube page, they are launching a new series called Indigenous. It was put together by Dr. Lee Francis. And so I think it starts at 6 o'clock on Tuesday. It's on their Facebook and YouTube. So it talks about Native contributions to America and to the science community and stuff like that. So just wanted to mention, you probably have seen the announcements. So
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Any other updates? Kyle, you had an update?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, so Homelessness Subcommittee has an update. Dawn, are you able to speak on it?
Yes, and so I've been working with Commission Member Tapaha and Commission Member Benali, what we call our Native American Community Ambassador Work Group. And so our focus is really to look at the unsheltered Native American population, but also violence against women. And so last year was really dedicated to do community engagement or to learn about existing programs in the community. And we thought for this year we could have more direct or more deliverables in terms of like a product to deliver or something more tangible, and limit our goals to 2 goals. One for the beginning of the year, which is to focus on a media campaign. And we're really wanting to focus on May 5th, as that's the missing or the National Day of Awareness for Missing and Murdered Native Women and Girls. But then to also use that as an opportunity to expand on what is something that needs to be communicated to the public regarding violence against women. And so our last meeting, we discussed the possibility of developing a campaign around systems navigation. So if we have someone who goes missing, or if we have someone who wants to follow up on a case, we're not too sure the public or family members, community members know exactly who to contact or what happens when someone is reported either for sexual assault or missing persons or anything like that. So that would probably be one of the greatest things, is like, who do I report it to, or identifying advocates in all parts of that systems piece, at the city level, county level, state level, federal level, and to make it really a lot easier for that. So this is just in the conceptual stage right now with the ideas of where we're wanting to go. Next week on the 16th, we're having one of our second meetings, and we've invited both the PIOs, the public information officers from OEI, as well as APD, to kind of let us know what media campaigns have been done in the past, or if there's anything similar to this, and to help us strategize and examine some of what we're looking at here and help us understand this process, and to evaluate what type of resources are available that the city has. I hear that there's like billboards already out, placements for the buses, but then also there's different recording studios and graphic designers and things like that that we may have access to. So we'll hopefully get more information on that. If there's any other commission members that would like to sit in on the meeting or continue to be involved in this process, I can share the Zoom meeting information for that. And then another idea was to examine January through December for the second half of the year, is to see if we could do that gap analysis. So the same thing that I mentioned is that Native Americans are not accessing the homeless and emergency sheltering services. We also want to look at like women who have experienced extreme violence or some type of sexual violence, if there's the same disconnect in accessing services, and if we could actually do a gap analysis for that as well. You know, what we know right now is that yes, there's high incidence, but there's not an actual connection to city services or city contracted services. We really want to understand a little bit more. So we are kind of looking like identifying who would be able to do this type of research, and then look to see what type of funding may be possible. And this may be where the commission comes in, as we do a recommendation to identify funding or to identify contacts or some organization we could contract with to do this type of study. So yeah, that may be the other agenda item that we have for next week. So that's the most update I have in terms of a related homelessness subcommittee activities. And Kim or Kyle, I don't know if there's anything you want to add on to that.
Thank you, Don. I think you covered a lot of what we were discussing. I really appreciate your help with this. I also have a few other things too that I'm working on, and I just wanted to kind of make the announcement that Albuquerque Community Foundation had a meeting the other day, and we were talking about what the barriers are to some of the federal funding to local organizations are. So I was kind of sitting on that meeting, and I'll be attending and talking with them one-on-one, especially from the homelessness subcommittee's part. That's one. The other is working with the Aspen Foundation. So the Frank Mirabel was also in the call. So I think I'm just going to bring more resources. Today I talked with James Lovell out of Seattle with the Chief Seattle Club. He's a development director. They're adding new members to their organizations. So they invited me up to Seattle to see what their services are like and how it affects the Indigenous community, what kind of programs are successful, what was not successful, and bring some of that. And I humbly requested their help as far as bringing resources, lessons learned, things that maybe we are doing well, but not really have been able to celebrate them as a success. So he did give me a lot of guidance. So I hope to one day invite them down to Albuquerque to have them see our situation and to possibly collaborate within different cities as well. So there's a Chicago Indian Center, there's Phoenix Indian Center, Seattle Club in in Washington, but there's an opportunity here for us to really expand and see nationwide, regionally, how Indigenous people are tackling homelessness. So it was really great to jump on that call. Trying to look through my notes, I had a whole bunch of meetings. The other one I think is partnering with PNM. We have some contacts from AIO that are looking to highlight Native American organizations here in Albuquerque. So at some point I'll invite them as well. I'll add to our list, and we'll see if we can get them a few minutes to discuss what they would like to do and how they can benefit the city of Albuquerque and our Indigenous, our neighbors, our relatives who are on pueblos. And that one is the subcommittee update. The other is Madam Chair had created a call with Vice. So we got into a phone call with Thelma, Rebecca, and I. We spoke with Simone Perez, who is a producer with Showtime, and they would like to talk to us. Well, they want to basically create a documentary style. They want to interview. They want to see what we've done, especially with the work that Terry has provided with ground penetrating radar. They want to, basically create a documentary. So what we brought up to the conversation was just the handling of this situation in a respectful manner, making sure that, well, my comment was, this is a heel that keeps opening up. So it's kind of, it's hurtful. It's good that other organizations are interested in what we do, but we just do have to approach this in a respectful way, letting her know that this is multi-generational trauma, especially from the boarding school system. That it's hurts were transferred from students to their kids, and then those kids had their kids, and then there's some hurt that's been passed. So yeah, it's just letting them know that we're open to listening to what they do, and they offer to add a little bit of consultation here and there. So that's just what I wanted to update. Is there anything else, Madam Chair, that you want to add for the Vice meeting?
Yeah, so if anyone's not familiar with Vice, I'm not, I don't have Showtime, but it's a series on Showtime, and they do some investigative journaling. I think you can capture some of their clips online for free if you don't have Showtime. So they, at least from what Simone had explained to us, was that they're interested in this topic and issue because it's it's going to be a national conversation, and so they're really interested in just how New Mexico, particularly here in Albuquerque, we're approaching addressing and planning how our next steps are going to be as we kind of open up again this kind of part of our history. And her main I guess intention for the meeting was to gather some notes on how they should go about it. And so we just shared a little piece of how the commission was involved and some of the insights that we've gained along the way, especially from myself and Thelma, since we're on some of the work group meetings and have been involved in the community discussions and most recently the tribal consultation meetings. So yeah, it's interesting because the media always have their own take on things, and it's interesting how each of some of these major media outlets, I was kind of sharing with Selma and Kyle that it's always interesting how they go about, gathering their notes and gathering their research and finding out kind of what their agenda is, because they usually do have their own specific agenda when they're developing these little bits. So they're thinking of filming a piece on this about a 12-minute, I think she said the most a 12-minute like short. So if you ever come by or are approached by the media, just as a reminder, no one is it's not like you're not allowed to talk to the media. You can, and if you're not comfortable or something doesn't feel right, just feel free to reach out to any one of us, and we can guide you if you are asked for like an opinion or you want to comment. So and I think, at least for now, for the commission, from the last time that we had discussed this, myself and the co-chair would be the point of contact, and at first to kind of make contact, and if there's any opportunities that any other commission members would want to speak on a particular issue, then we'll go ahead and share those things. So for now, it seems like it's just like information gathering. And then at least up until now, when we haven't had a co-chair, I've been asking Thelma to come with me. So I'm not in these meetings by myself. And there's somebody witnessing and making sure that we're doing this as a team. So, thank you, Kyle and Thelma, for joining me. See here. Oh, okay. I see Kim, your comment. Let's see here. I believe you, Kyle, and Dr. Lee have to jump off too as well soon. Okay. You said about 6:30? Okay. So we'll wrap. I think we're almost.
I have a comment
agenda.
or a question.
Yeah.
And I put in the chat just because, so I wouldn't interrupt the conversation, but I wanted to talk about the ERA funds, the Emergency Rental Assistance Funds that both the state and every tribe received. So in April, the Department of Treasury will be looking at reallocating unused ERA funds. Some of you can use ERA funds for hotel lodging, and I believe the state uses them for that purpose. And most tribes, I believe, their ERA policies say that they can use those funds for hotel lodging. So I was wondering, Kaya, you were talking about how you were looking for grants and just kind of, nonprofits looking for grants. So I think that this would be a great opportunity for some nonprofit in Albuquerque, but need not be in Albuquerque, to request tribes for these unused funds, or the Department of Treasury, and use them to house Native Americans, not just in Albuquerque, maybe even Gallup, and maybe other cities in New Mexico where you're seeing Indigenous people. I would think that, I know that a lot of homeless natives go to First Nations for their services. That'd be a great place for the allocation of those funds. So I just wanted to state that and maybe talk about it some more. I don't know if March is too late, maybe not, but I think that, I'd like to try to look into that a little more, and maybe use that as a potential funding source.
Denise, thank you. Yes, that is a great question. When I do speak with Mr. Miabel again, I'll go ahead and bring this up, and then I'll CC you on this. But I think that's one of the questions that they were trying to figure out is why, or no, what can we do with, programs limited requirements, or how can we reallocate, or is there a way to, to relax, those kind of stipulations to get that type of assistance. So yeah, I'll definitely forward that for you, Commissioner.
Okay, and I'll get the DO Department of Treasury letter that went out to tribes.
Okay.
And just kind of look at what they're looking at. But really, if there's some nonprofit, if there's some agency that's really doing a good job of getting this money out, then that nonprofit should request for those funds. I'll look at that letter to see, how do you request for those funds?
Thank you, Commissioner Zuni.
Thank you. Commissioner Lorenzo, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention Navajo Housing Authority is offering motel vouchers currently for Navajo tribal members. So we just initiated. We have, I believe, 15 applications we sent out. I believe they're about over a year a process. So it's open. I know we haven't had sort of a like someone who qualified and we got them from the street homeless into a motel. So we're just kind of waiting on that approval process. It's been, I think, 3 weeks now. So I think once we see this process through, it's something I'm planning to have another collaborative resource group meeting to have them present on that process. So I think that's something to share, which, kind of falls in line with what you just shared or discussed as an additional resource. And they're for families here in Albuquerque. I just wanted to do a quick update on the cultural, just a couple of things that have come up. I wanted to recognize or acknowledge that the Language Nest, the Navajo Language Nest program, you can go to their website and learn a little bit more about what their initiatives or their vision, or they recently met with a couple. It sounds like it's really targeting sort of parents, and then as well as the prenatal, and as well as the initial birth time of a child's development, and integrating knowledge or language, in that sort of nest environment. There's a series of cultural storytelling groups. So I think I did 3 of them so far. So we got another one scheduled for next week on Cradleboard storytelling. And then, kudos to them. And then as well as another cultural, I did follow up the University of New Mexico hospitals, the Office of Spiritual Care and Education. So they have allocated some funds towards a Native American cultural care provider who was going to be also working sort of as the initial support for families or patients who are there, in UNMH hospital. So I think it's been a process, and I did this work for about 5 years. So really didn't have the time to, sort of juggle this around. So then I began to advocate for a full-time position because I was a casual pool employee. So I was only able to get so much sort of allocated for budget, but I'm glad this has been shared. So I think I did talk with the director there. He is open to presenting at the commission in April to highlight sort of what the needs are, and then possibly provide some advisory is what that might look like to make it more inclusive and then community-based as well. And then the last thing is April 16, First Nations, the traditional wellness program. We do have the facility scheduled for Bonifacio, the APS, the Bonifacio professional development, the building. We were planning to do a April. So April is the Child Abuse Awareness or Prevention Month. So we have done in the past honor the youth powwow. So we were initially, the idea was to start planning for that, but we have, with COVID. So right now it's sort of up in the air as far as planning ahead right now. But that space is still available for April 16th. So if I hear any more updates, or we decide to, we are probably going to be planning sort of a resource, as well as, providing all the resources we can at that facility. And I think that we've done this before with different organizations. So I guess more to come on that. And that's all I have. I'm
Thank
really
you.
getting hungry now that everyone's leaving.
Where's everybody
The
going?
chinchador is not.
Thank you, Commissioner Jim. Thank you, Kim. Thank you for joining us. Oh, I think she already went off. Okay. Any other updates? Okay, we'll move on to item 5C, the commission member recruitment application update. We just presented the nomination, but again, just as a reminder, we still have vacancies, and the subcommittees on recruitment and outreach, as well as the newly formed subcommittee on the reporting. We're starting to have some discussions and ideas around how we can do things differently, as well as, possibility of proposing changes to the structure of the commission itself. And so we're going to start meeting, or at least the subcommittee on the report to the mayor, and updates to the strategic plan will be meeting this month. And so we'll keep everyone updated. We haven't had a first meeting yet, so I will be sure to share any thoughts or ideas before we go forward. And please let me know if anyone else wants to join in on those meetings. Let's see here. I don't think there's any other updates for that. If anybody had any other questions about our recruitment and application process for the commission, we can check in. All right. Our last item, 5B, do you want to introduce your discussion topic, Commissioner Zuni?
Thank you.
Mhm.
So, my first question was answered, and that is I could not find the link to the agendas on the web page, but I eventually did find it.
Okay.
So awesome job. I think the rest of the comments are who maintains our web page? Is it Dawn?
I don't believe it's Dawn. If Dawn will want to chime in. It used to be Chris, and then there was a replacement.
Okay, so so my comments are really to well, I guess to the commission and then whoever maintains our webpage, but I saw that our statement, you know how we have this link to our statements? And I saw that our statement on the petroglyphs was missing. And I don't know if we've made any other statements. I don't recall, but I know that, you know, we had issued that statement on the petroglyphs. And so I was going to ask that, you know, we post that. And the other was that I wanted to recommend that we post links to the renthelp.org. You know, that's the link to the ERA money. And then for Native American homeowners that, you know, the state was talking recently, I think it was New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority, who's going to be administering the Homeowners Assistance Fund. I think they said that they were going to start it up February or March. I think that we should put that link. It would help it. So that money is available through the Department of Treasury to anyone that's a homeowner for mortgage payments, utilities, rehab. And that money is available through the state or through each individual tribe. And so I just wanted to make sure that we had links to those sites. And also a link to, you know, a housing counseling link for persons facing eviction. So those are just my recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and I had one more. It wasn't really about our links, but it was, I guess it was a question, and I was wondering if there's the renthelp.org. Are those flyers like on the buses and on the bus stops? I don't know if anyone knows the answer to that question, but it'd be one way to reach natives on the street, because you always see them around the bus stops, and you see, and we know they ride the bus. So I thought that'd be a good place, you know, to put information on the ERA program, the flyers, the renthelp.org. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Zuni. Don, did you want to chime in?
Yes. So Commissioner Zuni, to answer, I do not update the web page. And Drew, I put his contact information in the chat somewhere. We have I listed his email. So he is our new public information officer. And so I believe the commission has a communications subcommittee. So I would recommend that may be one of the subcommittees to provide recommendations for the website. And generally how I've done it would be just to, and any updates I do to the OEI, the Native American Affairs webpage, I submit my recommendations with what I want it to say, and then I send it to him, and he works with the graphic designer or web developer to make sure those are changed. And then they kind of loop us in and say, is this what you had in mind before it's fully published? So the same thing would be if there's a web page that you would like to have updated, and what information needs to be there. All they would need to know is like what needs to be said, and then the links already included in order to make those changes. So they can. I'll leave it up to the team. I just know the main point of contact is Drew, and then probably CC Terry on that, so he's aware of the requests, just in case he needs to follow up on any of those pieces.
And Commissioner Zuni, myself and Kim Gleason are on that subcommittee. So if you want to send it to us, we can follow up with Drew.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And to the last point, in terms of whether or not the ads are on the bus that would be a conversation that we would have to have with transit. So same thing as if this is a recommendation or just to see if what is being advertised on the bus, to go through Drew, and he may be able to communicate with the transit PIO just to see if there is and what needs to happen in order to get there. I know it's not an easy process to get those, and I don't know how much time in advance the requests need to be made in order to do that. So I'm hoping by next week after our meeting with the comms team that we might be able to address or answer some more of these questions. But I do know transit is the main one that does all the bus things. The wraps on the outside of the bus are extremely expensive, but I know on the inside, I don't know if those are free to city departments or if there's a reduced cost to that. And along those lines, I don't know if everyone knows, but it is also free fare. So there's no cost to ride the buses in Albuquerque for 2022.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Kyle, you need to step away or step out or get stepping.
Get the stepping. Thank
the
you,
stepping.
fellow commissioners. Appreciate all your hard work. Thank you, Dawn, Terry. You guys have a good night. We'll see you at the next meeting.
Good night.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's the end of our meeting. Do we want a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Thank
I
you.
second it.
Thank you. Can I get your vote? So we don't have
Yes.
forever be trapped in a commission meeting. All right, thank you. I have a yes from Kim Benelli, yes from Denise Dooney, a yes from Marissa Naranjo, and a yes from Lorenzo Jim. That's a yes from me, and I heard a yes from, oh, there's Thelma's, Antonio yeses. The meeting is adjourned. It's February 9th, 2022, and the time is 6:42 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Have a
Take
nice
care. Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Out
everybody.
to my dinner.
We'll see.